This semester we're going to look at the history of race in 19th century America. What was life like for minority races? We'll be looking at the struggles, triumphs, and setbacks of Native, African, Chinese, Mexican, and Irish Americans in the United States. Although each of these groups came from very different backgrounds, they all faced the common opposition of prejudice and oppression. Native Americans' culture goes back many thousands of years, but the arrival of Europeans in America swiftly and irrevocably changed their lives and environment. Smallpox and other illnesses ravaged populations, leaving Native Americans too weak to successfully resist encroachment upon native lands. Almost invariably, Native Americans were forced from their lands. African Americans arrived as slaves as early as 1526. Emancipation came during the Civil War, but little really changed for African Americans due to the introduction of Jim Crow laws after Reconstruction. The 19th century was a long struggle for African Americans to find freedom, justice, and the means to escape slavery, poverty, and prejudice. The Chinese first came in significant numbers as mostly male workers for the California Gold Rush in 1849. These workers worked in mines and railroads and performed menial labor. They came looking for a better way of life, searching for the mythical Gold Mountain. Many of them died as bachelors, since immigration of Chinese women was so much lower, and then Chinese immigration restricted in general by law in 1872. Mexican Americans were brought into the United States when the United States took possession of much of Mexico through the Mexican Cession of 1848. Mexican families that owned valuable lands in the southwest part of the United States were often left landless after the lands were seized by Americans following the Mexican-American War. The Irish had immigrated to the American colonies as early as the colonial period. However, the immigration of the Irish did not really take off until the Great Irish Famine of 1845. Waves of poor immigrants flooded East Coast cities, and shanty towns were common throughout the Northeast. Prejudice against the Irish was a very real thing, but the Irish organized themselves to counter this and provide themselves with a measure of opportunity that other races were denied. Today, America has moved a little more towards the ideal of a melting pot, but perhaps not as far as it could. To understand how we got where we are as a country, we need to understand what has happened before. Understanding the struggles faced by those of different races in America will help you to understand what is happening today. Also, take care to note how progress was made and those people who helped progress to happen. This can help us understand the steps we can take in our lives to leave America a stronger country.